My dad and George Wisner were actually the first ones that started helping out when there was a crisis. Yeah, no, the funeral home had a 59 Ford station wagon, and it just had a roll-in stretcher that was actually designed for people that were deceased, and they would go out with that to the accident and bring the people into the hospital. They started organizing patient transport. I think mostly people just loaded up their loved ones and brought them into the hospital on their own.
When Lundy Findlay came, he was surprised that we didn't have a real ambulance set up. And so he got some of the men together and they soon fixed that up. And they decided that they needed a better vehicle. They had to have drivers and attendants, and so people volunteered.
Lundy was involved. He knew that the town needed it. He was willing to do it. And so, if he needed help, you did it.
We had what we called an emergency phone in the house, and so somebody had to be responsible for answering that phone 24/7 of all the people that had them in their homes.
We rotated through the bunch, and we'd have to have, 2 on call for a week.
Because you knew when you were on that you couldn't go anywhere. You were here. If you were washing your hair or something, well, too bad. A couple of us kind of wore our clothes to bed, you know.
The community supported everybody on the ambulance, because if anybody needed anything and they could do it, they would do it so that you could go. But we always had somebody that we could depend on. I had a babysitter. It was Madeline Fedor.
And then eventually the hospital looked after dispatch. And they rang the siren and sent the fire department out and stuff, so that really freed up our personal time.
Well, we started out with some kind of I think it was a station wagon. We had to put the patient wherever they needed to be. And then you took what was left.
I remember I had to kneel beside this person to tend him all the way in, and kneeling wasn't the best thing, and the road was pretty rough. It wasn't like today. And I remember my knees were kind of sore for a couple of weeks afterwards.
In 1964, the town actually bought a GMC panel truck, and that was used as an ambulance, as well as the fire department used it sometimes, So, and from there, they bought regular ambulances after that. There was no cell phones. We had a two-way radio in the ambulance. The training you had to have to come on to the service was St. John's Ambulance, and then as long as you had your first aid certificate, then the service made sure that you learned CPR and whatever other courses were available, which wasn't much then, but it was mostly just hands-on and supporting each other in the field and learning from things that you could have done better or things that you did well. And the doctors were very involved with explaining things to us and helping us better understand what we were dealing with out there, because we were going in cold. We didn't have any idea what of the history of what had happened, or our medical history.
We didn't get paid at first. No, we didn't, but eventually we got a little pay.
Now, it was after 1969, but I can't exactly remember when, but we started getting paid 25 cents an hour for on-call time.
We didn't expect that. We were doing it to help people.
We got the call in the middle of the night to an emergency out in Queenstown, which is about 40 minutes from Vulcan. And so we rushed out there, and there was a baby boy that had been born premature. We found out later that he was only about 2 pounds. We quickly got the baby and Mom into the ambulance and headed for Calgary. At one point, his heart stopped, so Jan gave him chest compressions and light puffs of air, and he started breathing again. The nurses at the Calgary hospital just couldn't believe that this baby was still alive. They thought this was amazing for a volunteer ambulance crew. For many years, the thankful parents of this baby sent each of us a picture at Christmas time so we could see how much this little baby boy had grown.
We became a team with all of us, and it was like an extended family because you face so much that you would never see if you weren't on ambulance. And you saw people at their worst, and you were thrown into situations that were dangerous sometimes. We didn't have a rescue unit, so we had a chain and a big wrecking bar to get people out of the cars with. I think it's important the community understands the sacrifices that those early people made, the people before me. I think that the bravery that those initial people had is commendable, and I don't think a lot of people understand how much courage it took to get up from your kitchen table having dinner with your family and go out to a car accident and see the carnage and the people that were injured.
You just do what you have to do, and you have to keep them alive.
But we did the best we could with what little we had.
You just did what you had to do, and the best you knew how.